If you're in the market for some cheap thrills, I think I've just got the right thing for you.
Yes, the KTM 790 Duke was made for Wales and good roads.
So the KTM 790 Duke, we spent the whole day riding it right from KTM headquarters in Northampton all the way through the winding roads that they've got through to Wales, and then the beautiful mountain passes that they've got there as well. It was a really good day and I really enjoyed riding the motorcycle. But before we get on into it, what is the 790 Duke? Now, basically it's a 95 horsepower variant of the original 790 Duke that they released a few years ago. Now, we've just got to acknowledge that KTM are now doing a really comprehensive range of naked motorcycles. We've got the 125 KTM Duke, we've got the 390 Duke, we've now got the 790 Duke, we've got the 890 Duke, we've got the 890 Duke R, and we've even got the 1290 Super Duke R as well. And within that, there's different spec variations. You can buy tech packs, so on and so forth. So it's a massively comprehensive range. Now, I'll also say that the 890 Duke R is, and it still stands to be, my favorite middleweight naked of all time. That motorcycle is absolutely unbelievable. Recommend it all the time. The componentry on that bike is fantastic. The way it rides, the way it engages you as a rider, and just its performance level is just unbelievable, in my opinion. And it's something that I'd buy in a heartbeat. Now, I'm going to try in this review not to compare the 790 Duke to that 890 Duke R, because ultimately it's not the same bike. So let's be really clear about that. But it is a fantastic bike, the 790 Duke, and that's what this video is dedicated to. So there's one word that describes the 790 Duke the best, and that is the word eager. Everything about the 790 Duke is eager. You jump on it, it's got a powerful motor, but it's eager, it's ready to go. It doesn't want to be ridden soft, it wants to be ridden flat out. It's snappy, it's punchy, it's torquey. It wants you to ride it hard, you know. There's no other way of describing it. It's an eager bike, and if you're an eager rider and you're wanting to ride motorcycles for fun and enjoyment, man, you know, this bike is going to be right up your street. It's a wheelie machine. It's got a fantastic electronics package that allows you to do whatever you want. It's got very good brakes. Just the overall thing, it wants to hunt apexes. It's an eager motorcycle. There's no better way that I can describe this motorcycle other than say it's a really eager bike. It's also a bike that's been built with a lot of passion, and my impression from riding quite a lot of KTMs is that the brand is really passionate about the products that they make. Their engineers are passionate, they're enthusiasts. They want to make the best motorcycle that they can, that has got that entertainment factor, that has all the components and has all of the mapping and the electronics, the braking system, that allows you to kind of live up to what their motto is with that ready to race thing. It's a passionate motorcycle. It makes you passionate about riding. It makes you want to enjoy riding and get out there and go full gas, enjoy it, try a few stunts, all that kind of stuff. I think it's top notch. It totally delivers what their slogan is, and I think that's really impressive about the KTM 790 Duke. Now, it's also really lightweight, and you know, if you're looking for this type of middleweight naked motorcycle, and perhaps you're a bit shorter, you know, you're 5'9", I'm 5'9", the 790 Duke fits me like a glove. It's just like, it's my perfect size. You know, I jump on it, dead light, dead flickable, I can do what I want. It's got a fantastic turning circle. It doesn't feel heavy at all. Really confidence inspiring bike. makes you want to try a few stunts. You want to learn a few things. This is a great bike to do that on. I think it's going to suit shorter riders as well. But on the flip side, if you're bigger, if you're 6 foot and over, there is a potential that the bike is possibly a little bit small for you, is a little bit dinky. Maybe it's not going to fit everybody, but there's other models in their range, like the Super Duke, for example, that'll fit you a bit better, for example. But I think this is like a pint-sized motorcycle. It feels stubby, and that really suits me. So I like that element of it. Got to talk about the brakes. For me, the brakes on the 790 Duke are really, really top notch. Obviously, it's not fitted with Brembos. It's not got Brembo calipers. It's not got one of those fancy Brembo master cylinders. It's just sort of a bit more of a budget brake setup. But I think the fundamental thing that all of these new KTMs have got is that Bosch ABS system, which basically allows the calipers, the braking system to actually work. Whereas on so many other, particularly the Japanese type models, doesn't really matter what hardware they've got, doesn't matter what calipers they've got or master cylinder, because actually the ABS brain will only allow them to brake so hard. This system that's on the KTM, yes, okay, it's got a more budget brake caliper and master cylinder, but it actually allows it to do the job. So, you've got, in my opinion, a really good braking setup. You turn the Supermoto ABS on, you can pull rolling stoppies, you can skid the rear, you can basically do whatever you want, and the ABS will only interfere when it actually needs to. So for me, it's a top-notch ABS package and a top-notch braking system, bearing in mind where it sits in the pricing and where it sits in the marketplace. So the engine is a parallel twin, obviously, 95 horsepower. I felt it had like loads of power. I was able to, ride as fast as I would ever want to on the road and not run out of puff. You can definitely have a lot of fun with 95 horsepower, and this bike makes you feel every 95 of those individual horses. It really, really does. It's top notch for me. Dead punchy, overtaking, not a problem. I think the only thing that I will say about the engine, and I'll say this about every parallel twin that's coming out of KTM at the moment, I don't think they've got enough engine brake in them. That does come into play when you're pushing a little bit harder and you're going into apexes or corners a bit faster, because in my opinion there just isn't enough engine braking, where traditionally I'd be relying on the engine brake to pull me back into the apex and through the corner. I definitely find with the 790 Duke I'm having to trail brake a lot more right through the corner, or even get mid-corner and start applying brakes because I'm running wide basically. I think the bike would be better if it had more engine braking strategy. And going forwards, I'd love to see them incorporate a bit more of that into their motorcycles. And that leads us swiftly onto the handling. I think if they actually got the engine braking a bit stronger, I think the 790 Duke would be even better handling again. But, that still doesn't change the fact that this bike is a really good handling motorcycle. Very eager, will find an apex, holds a nice line, and I think it's really good. Obviously connected to the handling is the suspension package. It's fair to say that this being the more budget orientated middleweight naked that KTM have got, the suspension package is more basic. I don't think it's adjustable, and I think the rear has maybe got the preload on it. We can put up on screen exactly what it's got and not, but the basic package is pretty good. It's pretty good performance basically. What I will say is that it's slightly crashy on the forks. If you hit potholes, you do feel some of that crashiness coming through. But interestingly enough, what we did actually get to test as part of this press launch was a 790 Duke that had been fitted with the WP Pro kit, which is basically a fork internal kit put into the forks and a fancy shock from WP.
slightly more controlled and slightly less crashy than the stock setup, but I dare say I'd need to push it significantly harder to really understand.
Probably sound like a bit of a snob here, but all of my motorcycles, whatever I've got, they've all got aftermarket suspension. There's a reason why I do that, because it basically just transforms them. It makes them higher quality. They absorb bumps better. They've got higher performance. They don't bottom out, all that type of stuff. And actually this WP kit for the 790 Duke is actually only £1,500. So I don't think it's a massive investment for the quality improvement you're getting. And I think if you stuck this kit into your 790 Duke, you've got something that you can very much go on track days. You can push it to the limits much more. I think it's something that's very much worth considering. We should also talk about the electronics. It's definitely fair to say that the 790 Duke electronics are really well developed. They're very performance orientated. So on the assumption that you actually buy the tech pack, which I'm really recommending if you're going to buy this motorcycle, you're enabled to change your slip, the amount of traction control that you require. You're able to change all your throttle mapping. You're able to have your supermoto mode, and also obviously have a quick shifter blipper. I'll put on the screen how much the tech pack costs. I think it's about between £700 and £800. It's definitely worth putting on this bike if you're going to buy it, in my opinion. I wouldn't be buying this bike without the tech pack. Another massive benefit of the 790 Duke is the pricing. I mean, the RRP for this motorcycle is £7,999. Now I know that they've got an offer on at the moment where you can get £1,000 off. Obviously that's not going to last forever, so let's just consider it an £8,000 motorcycle. Still, that makes it in the market incredibly competitive, and I think it would absolutely blow to the weeds bikes like that GSX 8S, MT-07, things like that. You know, it's gonna blow them into the weeds basically. So I think this is a really strong package, price wise and performance wise. Just a quick note about the quality. Obviously this is going to come up in the comment section. Yes, this motorcycle is made in China, but in my opinion it's definitely not worth all the heat that people give KTM because they make some of their motorcycles in China. I mean, how much of the stuff that we buy on planet Earth is made in China? It's kind of the workshop of the world now, isn't it? This bike, I have to say, is made to a high quality, it's made to a high specification, and I definitely didn't notice any issues in the quality of the motorcycle or its reliability. It worked absolutely fine, and I thought it appeared to me to be quite high quality, so it's a thumbs up. So if you still got to this part of the review, you're thinking, oh my gosh, this has been super glowing and he's got nothing bad to say. Well, look, there's a couple of things and I'll just mention them here, but let's bear in mind they're actually quite small things, and I'm trying to, package them into the pricing element where this motorcycle sits. The first thing that is bad about the 790 Duke is the tires that it comes on. Man, they're absolutely terrible. They were okay in the dry, but they haven't got very much feedback. Kind of passable in the dry basically. But when the roads, those mountain roads in Wales, got wet, I mean, it just became an ice rink basically. And you'll see on some of the footage, we're riding so slow, but that was because I was just slipping everywhere. The rear was stepping out all the time. It just turned it into an ice rink. I'd put something else much better. Any of the aftermarket tires from the big manufacturers are going to improve this motorcycle exponentially. And I also think we would have been able to feel the quality of the WP suspension better had it have come on better tires too. The second thing that I don't like is the rubber foot pegs. When it got wet, they became really slippy actually. And there's a shot here that I'll put in of me kind of when the rear wheel stepped out and both legs came off the foot pegs, which is kind of looks a bit funny. But the foot pegs haven't got enough grip. I'd figure out a way to replace them with some aftermarket ones. And connected to that, also the grips, the handlebar grips that these bikes came on. I'd never have a problem with grips. I never change my grips basically. But these ones have like this little lip that goes around the outside, and they just annoyed the hell out of me, just rubbed me hand all day long. It's a dead easy fix. I just take a craft knife and take that lip off the end of the grip. But you know, we're talking about downsides. These are little things, but they're things that I would change to my bike. Now that kind of concludes our downsides, but there's definitely another consideration, and that is that, you know, because they've got such a comprehensive range of naked motorcycles, there are models down from the 790 Duke, but there are models up from it as well. And when you start thinking about the 890 Duke R, man, that bike's just got a bit of a hold on me. And yes, it's £3,500 more, but I can kind of see £3,500 extra in that motorcycle with its componentry, the way it feels, the extra oomph it's got, the extra everything that bike's got. It would be a difficult one for me, but I would probably figure out how to, you know, take the step up really, because that bike is so impressive. But that being said, you know, not everybody's got £11,500 to spend on a motorcycle, and if you haven't, and you've got more like the £7,000 or £8,000 that we're talking about, hey, stick some decent tyres on this 790 Duke and you're going to have a lot of fun. So really hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, comment and subscribe. Check out all the gear that I was using to protect myself on test, and we'll see you next time.